Tonight, immigration cutbacks put businesses under pressure. This Lloydminster restaurant warns it could shut down in weeks. Calls for a new wildfire strategy. The NDP pushes for a new bill that would create a formal response plan. And invisible illnesses. A report says healthcare workers need to do more to recognize and treat chronic pain.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Tuesday, December 2nd. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Alexander Silberman. Federal immigration cuts are pushing businesses in this province to the brink amid a critical shortage of skilled labor. And a restaurant in Lloydminster says it could be forced to close within weeks if it can't find a way to keep its chefs. As Aishwarya Duda shows us, the crackdown on foreign workers could have a broad impact on the economy.
This Indian restaurant in Lloydminster has become part of the community. But behind the warmth of this kitchen and its lunch rush is fear.
Beautiful. I might have to shut down this restaurant. We have already, we are opening late and closing early because, I don't want to overtide my chefs.
Kaur built this restaurant with her savings, her culture, her hopes, and the support of her family. She worked at gas stations, managed restaurants, and finally opened her own. But says the dream is slipping away as both her chefs are nearing the end of their work permits.
If I have this restaurant today, it's not because of me, it's because of them.
Kaur says she's tried everything to keep her staff, job postings, higher wages, but nothing's worked.
Without cook, you cannot run a restaurant. It's authentic Indian restaurant we're running. It's not something that, anybody can walk in with no experience.
With federal restrictions on immigration, including reductions to temporary foreign workers, for Kaur and her two chefs, the future is on the line.
Table food is ready.
And that means that this meal may be one of the last meals that they serve.
Kantura's work permit expired in October. He's waiting for an extension or permanent residency acceptance.
This job means is my career, my life, my family, everything is depend to this job for me. And even my parents also depend for me.
Bhupendra Rawat's permit expires next month. He was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. If he's forced to leave, he says his children will be kicked out of school and he'll lose cancer coverage.
I'm thinking about their future, my children's future.
It's not just their jobs at risk. Servers, suppliers, local farmers, all connected to one small business. The Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses says this is happening across the country.
Now you're taking away immigration, you're going to have a rapidly aging population without the labor there to sustain the services and operate the businesses that used to be there.
For Kaur, time is running out.
They rely on me. They call me sister. Their kids call me, somebody calls me Bua, somebody calls me Masi, means aunt.
She's fighting for their future and a chance to keep her family together. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Lloydminster.
An update now on a story we brought you about an ALS health center in Moose Jaw. The opposition NDP wants the police to investigate the private facility that claims to halt and reverse symptoms of the disease. Deputy Leader Vicky Mowat stood up in question period Tuesday to announce the NDP has written a letter to the police chief. ALS is a fatal neurological disease. As CBC first reported, an American ALS patient died alone after paying $84,000 to the Dr. Goodenow Restorative Health Center. Goodenow is not a medical doctor, nor does he claim to be. The center is an unregulated facility. Mowat says the government needs to take action.
Mr. Speaker, it's clear that the Premier and the Minister of Health won't do their jobs, and the college does not have jurisdiction here. The centre claims to have a 100% success rate treating ALS. What a load of garbage, Mr. Speaker. Today, my colleague for Regina Wallshakers has written to the Moose Jaw Police Service requesting a formal criminal investigation into this centre. Why hasn't the Premier done anything to protect people from what's going on at this clinic?
Health Minister Jeremy Cockerill says the government has asked regulatory bodies to investigate. That includes the College of Physicians and Surgeons, as well as the Financial and Consumer Affairs Authority. CBC contacted Goodenow for a response, but has not yet heard back. Also at the legislature, the opposition NDP introduced a new private members bill to establish a provincial wildfire strategy. It presented Bill 609, also known as the Saskatchewan Wildfire Strategy Act. The bill would require the government to ensure there is a province-wide strategy in place to fight wildfires. That includes creating and regularly updating management plans in the province. It also requires public reporting and ongoing consultation with experts and Indigenous communities.
Just a few weeks before fire season, Mo's minister, Tim McLeod, looked me in the eye and promised the government was fully prepared. It's black and white in Hansard for anyone to see. And it turns out that was a lie. On something as important as public safety, it turns out that the word of the Sask party minister simply isn't enough anymore. We need a law on the books that mandates real preparation by the government.
The Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency says it does include experts and residents in wildfire decision-making, but admits it's possible some people slip through the cracks. The SPSA says if there are any improvements to be made, it will come from a third-party review of the province's wildfire response. Mosaic is putting millions of dollars into building what it calls the future workforce for Saskatchewan's mining industry. The company has announced a $4 million investment. It's planning to create training partnerships with Suncrest College, Saskatchewan Polytechnic, and local school divisions. The money will help buy new equipment, expand training space, and support students heading into in-demand trades. Mosaic's director says the goal is to start preparing workers much earlier, as retirements are expected to spike in the next decade.
Right now, we really need to build our entire workforce pipeline for our industry. And in order to do that, we have to start early while the students are in high school, but then also look at the in-demand trades that we're going to need now and in the future. So partnering with folks like Suncrest and Sask Polytech are really going to help us fulfill our workforce strategy.
Mosaic says its Esterhazy operation alone expects to fill around 100 industrial mechanic roles in the coming years. The company hopes the expanded training programs will keep more workers in the region. Well, it's been delayed for a year and cost millions more than expected. But now, Saskatoon appears to be moving ahead with a compost facility. The project is planned near the city's existing landfill, and the price to build it has increased by $22 million to more than $30 million. A federal grant will make up the difference. Saskatoon's mayor says she's concerned about constantly rising project costs.
Do we have a sense of why those costs were coming in so much higher? I guess what I worry about is that we're living in this ever escalating run to see how much things can go up, and it's obviously not a sustainable plan.
A council committee heard Monday that bids at the original price all came in higher. That's because local companies lack experience building compost facilities. Construction is expected to start next year and finish in 2027. And hundreds of Indigenous leaders are in Ottawa for a meeting of the Assembly of First Nations. And day one of the three-day gathering has been tense. Chiefs are slamming Mark Carney and his government, accusing him of failing to consult meaningfully with them on the recent pipeline agreement with Alberta. But the Prime Minister insists consultation with First Nations will happen once any nation-building plan, like a pipeline, is sent to his new major projects office for approval.
Under the legislation, there must be consultation consistent with free, prior, and informed consent before a project can be designated in Canada's national interest. These issues would naturally include requirements for Indigenous ownership, Indigenous economic benefits, and environmental protections.
Earlier, the AFN chiefs voted for a resolution asking Ottawa to withdraw from the pipeline deal with Alberta and to uphold an oil tanker ban off the northern BC coast. Ottawa and Alberta's Memorandum of Understanding would see a bitumen pipeline heading west to Asian markets. Costco is suing the Trump administration, demanding a full refund of tariffs that it has been forced to pay. The company's case has now reached the U.S. Supreme Court, but it may depend on a separate case before the court, considering the president's authority to impose levies without congressional approval. 2 lower courts have already ruled that unilateral action to be unlawful. U.S. Customs data shows importers like them have paid about $90 billion as of late September. Well, it was a busy morning at the Saskatchewan Food Bank, with volunteers getting ready for the holiday rush. CBC Saskatchewan is just one of many local CBC stations across the country supporting local food banks in the coming weeks. For more info, head over to cbc.ca/kindsk. Welcome back. A task force started by Health Canada is hoping to change how the medical system treats people with chronic pain. Invisible illnesses like autoimmune diseases and chronic pain conditions are of particular concern. As Laura Sharpaletti shows us, the group hopes to improve awareness and access to treatment.
It just feels like a ball of barbed wire just tangled up there, and it hurts so bad.
Shaylin Bakaluk has endometriosis. She got her first period at age 10 along with debilitating pain. But Bakaluk went 11 years without a diagnosis. She says the illness was invisible, so no one believed her.
After a while, I did start to feel like they were right, and it was just all in my head. They're specialists in it. Like, they've went through years of school, and I'm just a little girl.
Bakaluk says she had at least 50 doctor's appointments, ultrasounds, or hospital visits over the span of a decade. She fell into a world of isolation, depression, and even suicidal ideation. She was also accused of being a drug addict when she tried to get painkillers to cope. This gynecologic surgeon says the Canadian health system is grossly behind when it comes to understanding chronic pain.
What's happened is we don't have a system to support you. So depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues are related because if you've suffered in pain that long and haven't gotten help, how do you even possibly cope?
Health Canada created the Pain Task Force in 2019. It recommended concrete actions to improve people's recognition of pain. But it was released at the height of the pandemic, so it received very little attention. The co-chair of the task force says doctors need more help assessing and treating chronic pain.
When you lay on top of that sex and gender, there's a whole other bucket of challenges that open up. So we know historically in healthcare that women's concerns have been dismissed, that women have a history of being disbelieved.
Bakaluk was 21 when she was finally diagnosed with endometriosis. Doctors discovered it during an operation to remove a tumor on her ovary. She says the diagnosis was a relief.
I said to the doctor, I'm like, so I'm not crazy. And I started bawling when he told me.
Hudspeth says getting a diagnosis should not take this long.
And pain still is thought of as a symptom of something else. And the healthcare system is busy looking for that something else and not thinking about addressing and managing pain.
The Canadian Pain Task Force says doctors and medical students need more education when it comes to pain. In the meantime, those dealing with invisible illnesses will likely continue to struggle to get the help they need. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
And it's time to check in with weather specialist Mickey Wolf. Mickey, it was a beautiful day out there, even a bit of sunshine here in Regina, really warming up, but I hear it's only going to get cold at night.
It is going to get pretty chilly tonight, Alexander. You're absolutely right. Things have been a little bit warmer today, as we'll see taking a look at our daytime highs across the province now. Definitely some warmer temperatures, especially there in the south, just above zero. Quite nice compared to some of the daytime highs we've been seeing. And taking a look at the skies now, tonight we're still seeing a little bit of snow moving through the south as we get into the evening hours. And it's not the last we'll be seeing of the snow over the next couple of days. So we've got that high pressure system moving through. We'll see a little bit of clear skies tomorrow before we have a low pressure system bringing in some snow overnight Thursday into Friday. as well. So bit of a snowy week, intermixed with a little bit of sun and cloud, but let's take a closer look at some of this snow. So the bulk of that is going to happen tomorrow evening, the first wave of the snow at least, in the south and central region. And then as we get into overnight Thursday into Friday morning, we will see a little bit more snow again. So we're looking kind of in that 1 to 5 centimeter range for the most part in the south, and then a little bit heavier potentially in swift current, at least looking at this model. In the north, we will see a bit more of a gradual snowfall over the next few days, and a little bit of a heavier snowfall, especially in that Churchill region, up to 8 centimeters. Taking a look at those wind gusts, we did have some stronger gusts today in the south and central parts of the province, and then we are going to see those make a return Thursday morning. We will have a little bit of a chillier start to the day with the wind chill. And speaking of wind chill, I want to take a look at the wind chill we'll be seeing tomorrow. So this is tomorrow morning. We'll be looking at wind chill making things feel like -31 for Saskatoon and the Battlefords. And then for Regina, also pretty chilly. We're looking at wind chill making things feel like -24. Taking a look ahead to our week for Regina, we're going to see quite a nice warm up Thursday, potentially accompanied with some flurries, a little bit of winds gusting again there in the morning mostly. Then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, it's going to cool down a bit. We might have some sunny breaks, a little bit of snow, and then by Tuesday, things start to warm up quite a bit. Much of the same in Saskatoon. We're looking at potentially some snow Saturday, a little bit drier though Wednesday into Thursday and Friday, and then again, looking towards Tuesday, we will see things start to warm up. So Alexander, we're definitely looking at colder nights ahead for the next few days, but hopefully a warm up at least on Thursday.
Looks like a bit of a temperature roller coaster. Warmer today, cold again, and then some warm weather at least in the future.
Definitely a roller coaster, well said.
All right, thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
The Hudson Bay Company's royal charter, dating back to the year 1670, appears to have a new owner. A deal between two of Canada's richest families to secure the historic document is going ahead. The CBC's Cameron McIntosh has the details.
Behind two secure doors, a special vault in the center of the archives of Manitoba.
These are our oldest textual records, the oldest records of the Hudson's Bay Company.
The Hudson's Bay Company's archives, more than 4,000 items dating back to the 1600s. One item is not here.
How does the charter fit into all of this?
Well, in a sense, the charter is the start of the story, right?
The 1670 Royal Charter established the Hudson's Bay Company, arguably Britain's first claim to most of what is now Canada.
I do feel that the Hudson's Bay Company, its founding, its documentation, its existence, sets the stage for so much of where we are today.
The 17th century fur trader, now effectively a bankrupt 21st century retailer, is selling the charter. Two of Canada's richest businessmen, Galen Weston and David Thompson, are offering the Bay's creditors $18 million for it. A source with direct knowledge confirms to CBC News there are no other offers. A judge still has to sign off. The document would be donated to 4 public institutions for the first time, moving out of private hands.
Yes, it's a corporate archival document, but it also has significant Canadian value, but also impacts on Indigenous sovereignty.
Part of the deal would see the document displayed with interpretations of the fur trade's impact on Indigenous people.
It demands recognition, but it also demands a kind of reset.
EP sees it as nothing less than the foundational document of Canada.
Certainly, there is value to Canadians across Canada.
355 years later, that charter still making history. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Saskatchewan firefighters were recognized at the legislature Tuesday. Volunteer municipal departments and Type 2 firefighters received the Premier's commendation. The award recognizes actions that exemplify courage, responsibility, and service. Premier Scott Moe thanked the firefighters for their efforts during the historic summer wildfire season. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. The CPKC holiday train is traveling across Canada and will be in Saskatchewan this weekend. If you're not familiar with it, this festive light show is a charitable program to support food banks. The rail cars transform into stages for free live concerts, and those attending can make donations with either food items or money. The train will be making stops in Bredenbury, Yorkton, Foam Lake, Wynyard, and Saskatoon on Saturday, and in Wilkie and Macklin on Sunday. Performers will be Jade Eagleson and Tegan Gaze. That may not be a sleigh, but the helicopter has the same North Pole VIP on board. Santa landed at the Alberta Children's Hospital for an early visit, and he didn't come empty-handed, carrying a red sack of gifts for the young patients. It's the second year in a row Santa visited the hospital by air ambulance. He told local media it's nice riding in the helicopter since, unlike a sleigh, he doesn't get cold prairie winds blowing in his face. And Mickey Wolf is back for a final look at the forecast. Mickey, Santa might have avoided those cold prairie winds, but the rest of us are going to have some very cold winds to wake up to tomorrow morning.
Oh, Alexander, lucky Santa. He's not going to have to face those cold prairie winds just yet, maybe by Christmas. But let's take a look at our evening because things are looking a little bit chillier across South and Central Saskatchewan here, folks. Taking a look at these lows tonight. Lows near -20 to -25 across the South and Central region, looking pretty cloudy. And as we get into the north, things are looking a little bit clearer tonight. We will see some breaks, especially in that Churchill region near to the Manitoba border. And then tomorrow, things will start to warm up a little bit as we get into the daytime hours, maybe seeing some sunny breaks by the time we hit the afternoon, and then the snow is going to start making its way in as we get to the evening in the north. As for the South and Central region, definitely a colder start today. Again, colder start to the day. The wind chill is going to make things feel a lot colder. By the afternoon, we will see a bit of a warm up, and then we will have to face those colder winds, Alexander, definitely by Thursday at least. So lucky Santa.
Looks like a very cold wake up.
Cold one for sure.
All right, thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
And that's how things looked in our province on this Tuesday. For more news anytime, you can head on over to our website. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.